Hello, my name is Desiree Pointer Mace. I'm a professor of education and director of graduate education programs at Alverno College. I'm very happy to welcome you to Alverno and to provide you with a brief orientation to our graduate programs in education. I would like to, let me get rid of this, basically take you through some of the big ideas underneath Alverno's educational model and make sure that you understand some of the key ideas that will support you as you go forward in your learning. So Alverno College was founded in the 1900s. We have a mission to serve at the undergraduate level at the education of women and for education of men and women at the graduate level. And our mission is underneath everything that we do. We really want to have our education be about stretching each individual to the pinnacle of their possibilities. If we were here together in person, I would be talking to each one of you around the table about who you are, where you come from, why you're interested in graduate programs or advanced licensure, and why Alverno is a good fit for you. But if you're like other people, you may have come to Alverno because you're reaching a point in your professional development or your career where you want the next thing. That might be becoming a teacher for the first time. It might be reaching a higher level of teaching licensure. It might be having an impact beyond where you currently are. But at any rate, you've come to us because you feel like Alverno resonates with what you want for yourself at this phase in your life. So I'll talk about what you can expect going forward. A little bit that, one thing that I really love about Alverno is that we take our name, Alverno, from a mountain in Italy, Monte Laverna, which was given to St. Francis himself and his brothers as a retreat so that they could find sanctuary, centering, and engaged in their focused and spiritual work. Now, while we are not preparing Catholic brothers in any of our programs, that same sense of a place that is slightly apart from the regular everyday and in which you can engage in a full, deeply gratifying extension of where you currently are, that's what Alverno is really about. So after we were founded in the 1800s by the School Sisters of St. Francis, things went along, as many colleges and universities do, until a revolution engaged in by the faculty in the early 1970s that led to the creation of what we call ability-based education. And that means that institution-wide at every grade, every degree program, in every content area, we use authentic assessment to determine whether people have been successful in attaining course outcomes and completing their programs. This innovative and internationally recognized model continues to grow and change every year because we learn just as much in teaching it as we hope our students learn in studying within it. So when we're having a graduate program, we hope that you are going beyond what you learned in your first undergraduate degree. We hope that you are inquiring into your practice and asking good questions. We hope that you are engaging in thoughtful collaboration with professional colleagues. We hope that you're presenting presentations that lead to growth in others. The Latin root of the word education is to lead forth. And we hope that you are truly stretching as you go throughout. So what that means is that then in ability-based education, we begin with a set of abilities that are really a picture of the graduate. What should that person know and be able to do? And then from that vision, we go backward, linking criteria to those abilities for specific projects, assignments, assessments, portfolios. And throughout this process, we offer you opportunities to engage in ongoing development, self-assessment, and reflection in relationship to those abilities. So what are those abilities that we use in the education programs at Alverno? There are 5, and we really think that they talk about what a high-quality educator at whatever level, teaching children, teaching adults, leading school districts, should know and be able to do. One comes to many people's mind very quickly: conceptualization. An educator, well prepared, should truly be knowledgeable about content, about theory, and about systems, how they work. If you're going to teach math, you should really deeply understand math. Same goes for if you're going to lead a school, you should really deeply understand learning theory and how organizations work within that school setting. But that's not enough. We can imagine people who might be really knowledgeable about mathematics and maybe not be such a great teacher of math. And that would be because they're missing some of these other abilities. They might be missing the ability of communication, to be able to clearly and expressively communicate with others, to listen well, to make good use of technology in service of a learning situation. Another ability that's really critical might be diagnosis, the ability to keenly observe, take note, ask good questions, and then use that process to really inform subsequent decision-making in classroom, school, agency settings. Coordination, how are you going to set up a learning environment, including a virtual learning environment, so that it can effectively support the learning therein? That also has to do with how you make use of relevant resources for learning. That includes time scheduling, arrangement of books, materials, human resources, how you engage with colleagues and share space and resources. And then last on this list, but certainly not least, is an ability we call integrative interaction. That's really the heart work of teaching. How are you an advocate for the people that you serve? How are you an ally? How are you a professional in the deep sense of the term? How is it that you are going to really see yourself as connected to others in this educational work? If I asked you right now to think about your most transformational and influential teacher, my bet is that they had a combination of these abilities that immediately spring to mind, but I'm sure that those most transformational educators really had particular strength in that ability of integrative interaction because they made you feel like you mattered as a student. And so that's really something that we take very seriously as practitioners and professors ourselves, but also because we want you to be really developing these abilities for your own work as an educator. These abilities then twine together. So it's not like you're working on communication by itself in most cases. You're really thinking about, all right, if I'm going to be developing a lesson plan, how's that drawing on what I know, how I'm going to talk about it, what I need to find out about those learners, how that environment for learning should be set up, and what really it means to be a knowledgeable person about this content area. Same thing for if I'm working at the administrative level. How am I going to use what I know about adult learning, for example? How am I going to communicate to families in the community members who are essential to my mission? How am I going to arrange time, space, budget, resources? How am I going to ask good questions all throughout so that I continue to be responsive to the people that I serve? So we can see that there's really a meshing of these characteristics that we expect graduate programs to be emblematic of, and then these abilities. So when you're going beyond those baccalaureate understandings, you're building that conceptualization ability. When you're inquiring into your practice, you're drawing on diagnosis and coordination. When you're collaborating with others, you're getting that coordination and integrative interaction, probably communication that as well. And all of these start to come together as you develop professional presentations and engage in this overall stretch. We want each person who comes in as a graduate student in Alverno to leave much better prepared than they entered in. That's what you're investing in when you come to graduate school. So what that really means is that then when we are engaging you in this learning process, we're providing you with clear goals, criteria, gathering multiple samples of performance, providing you with expert judgment and feedback, and engaging you in self-assessment and reflection. So that means that we want you to really know what you're going to come out with at the end of any course experience, and that all of the assignments and assessments should be aligned with that sense of the goal. We're also then communicating clear criteria so that you know how good is good enough when you're turning something in. That's particularly critical because it informs what that quality is and how we're not going to have directions, but qualitative statements that can allow for many paths to demonstrate excellence. Then they provide that basis for self-assessment. And then those multiple samples, it's really not what you can do in one example, but the whole portrait of everything that you do. And it's very common at Alverno to use criteria, for example, to inform a resubmitted work sample and another example of how you're developing your abilities. So then our job is to say, instead of giving you a grade that you don't understand, is to use explicit criteria, rubrics, and narrative feedback to help you understand the quality of your performance and then suggest some next steps for you and your growth. So then your job is the most important, because fortunately for you, your faculty members are not going to follow you around your whole life. But we do expect that you're habituating yourself into practices of self-assessment and reflection, because that's how you stay a lifelong learner. And so then you use those same criteria as your faculty. The Latin root of the word assessment is to sit down beside. And so if you really imagine that you are sitting down beside a person, looking at those same criteria, then we're really having a conversation about your performance and your growing abilities over time. As you go through your graduate program, we regularly communicate with our graduate students through our Grad Studies newsletter. It's published bi-weekly, and you can click on whatever the most recent newsletter is at this link here, and you can see job opportunities, student celebrations, activities that may be happening on campus or in our community, and so on. We ask you then, as part of this graduate orientation elsewhere on Moodle, to review the academic honesty policy and our professionalism and dispositions forms. The academic honesty policy we ask you to sign and turn in, either in scanned form and emailed, or turned in as a physical copy to the education office in Corona Hall on campus, or you can email it to our academic administrative assistant. And our professional and dispositions form really talk about what our expectations are for students and for faculty. So there are both basic expectations. We expect you to come prepared, be on time, be an active group member, etc. But also, what are the other dispositions that we all cultivate over our lifetimes as educators? And so both of those you should review as part of this orientation. We don't ask that you turn in the professionalism and dispositions form, but if there are concerns, you can expect that that will be an underpinning of any conversation that we would have with you about that. So apart from that, I just really want to say I'm so happy that you've chosen Alverno for your graduate program. You can contact me with any questions that you may have. My email is here. Our Dean for the School of Professional Studies is Patricia Lubke. Dr. Lubke's email is here as well. And our Academic Administrative Assistant, Mary Chews, her email is here as well. All three of us have our offices on the first floor of Corona Hall. And we are just really thrilled to be accompanying you on this next step of your learning journey. I truly am grateful that you've chosen Alverno for your graduate study, and I look forward to meeting you in person. Thank you very much.